In a quarterly earnings call yesterday, a company reported that it had lost nearly $5 billion, and in their largest performing segment, the loss was close to $2 billion. And the stock went up. Why?
Ladies and gentlemen, hiss and foes, welcome to the Culture Casino!
If you know me at all, or have followed me at least a little bit, you know that I am a huge Disney fan. In fact, I was born into it, let's say. And of course, I have many different ways of being invested in the Walt Disney Company, as well as involved in it in many other facets of my life. So I can say, I pay close attention. Now, courtesy of a earnings call that went off at approximately 4:30 Eastern Time, right in there, I would say that I kind of got what I expected, which is a huge drop in revenue earnings for Disney as a whole in the last quarter. In fact, huge losses were something I anticipated, and boy did they not fail to deliver in that. At $4.72 billion, this is the amount of money that Disney reported to have lost. That's huge. The numbers are even more staggering when you consider the earnings per share, or earnings per diluted share, or however you want to look at that. That dropped 94% to 8 cents a share. 8 cents a share. And this isn't news. This isn't something to give investors pause when they throw money back into a company. You know, I can't believe the stock started trading higher. Well, one of the industry's strongest indicators is, well, at least for Disney Company and similar entities, is their theme park earnings, because it's a considerable portion of revenue. And if you look at that segment alone, which is the Disney Parks Experiences and Products segment, because they rolled all that together, they lost $1.96 billion of that $4.72 billion we talked about earlier. So there was a lot of what I would call fluffing, overly optimistic thought processes. That's not surprising, but it seems to be something that Disney's been doing for a long time, hence the SEC investigation I mentioned a few days ago. Now, they're relying heavily on their distributed media products, such as their video on demand service, which is now going to be a part of Disney Plus, and a newly promoted element called Star Brand, which is an international distribution thing that they utilize in countries like India. Now, there seems to be a push for them to accelerate their streaming platforms and really drive into that market hard, which makes perfect sense. It's an earnings bonanza over there. But even with Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and Star Brand, they are really being overly optimistic in where this is going to land them. Now, the big part of this news, and I'm sure you've already heard, thanks to our friends over at Pirates and Princesses, who have done some excellent stories on all of these things. I mean, you go visit Geeky and Neon if you can, even on their YouTube channel, which is wonderful, Clownfish TV. But on their website, they do great reporting. Anyway, the stories they did on this yesterday were excellent, well thought out, and gosh, for internet media, that's not clickbaity at all. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Mulan was touted yesterday as something that, since it was delayed for the fourth time, it's now going to make its way into video on demand through Disney Plus. Now, this is really an odd thing for me. Number one, you're paying a subscription service for Disney Plus. You were supposedly going to get access to the entire Disney catalog from its inception, which of course didn't materialize. They're limited. they've limited exactly what they put on there. They also own many properties from the Fox Studios that doesn't appear anywhere yet either, neither on Hulu nor on the Disney Plus platform, which bothers me. Also, we've heard much about the censorship that they've decided to employ when it comes to films and possibly some television products on their platforms as well, which is disturbing. If you start to mess with the way art is presented, you know, you're traveling down a slippery slope. But anyway, so Mulan has been delayed 4 times, but its release is going to happen on Disney Plus, as I said. Now, you pay the $7 I was talking about, but you're then going to pay an additional $29.99 to see this film. Now, it was unclear, although expected, that this was going to be a rental fee. A $30 rental fee? Anyway, I don't see how they expect for this to compete with the likes of other products that have been released in this same format because of the same global crisis that we're dealing with. In fact, it's at least $10 more expensive than any of the other things I've ever heard of. Not to mention the fact that this film is going to underperform internationally and was going to anyway. Massive changes to this film, including the removal of its dragon Mushu. And I know I mispronounce names all the time, so please forgive me. But that's going to, take away from the idea that this film was going to appeal to the children. The performance of Eddie Murphy as that character in the animated version was superb, and people truly appreciated the film for what it was. They also removed the male character, I believe Sang Shen. I always say that name wrong too. From the story entirely. Well, it represented in a different way and with no romantic value whatsoever. This is, like I said, this is one of those things where they're going to reap what they sow. They went after a market in China in a very pandering way, like they've been doing lately. Well, they've done it across the board with all of their brands. The We It brand campaign, slate of crap that they threw out there. And they're pandering to a country who, flies in the face of everything that they purport to represent on their social media platforms. Because guess what? The biggest human rights violator in the world right now is China. As a nation, not as a people, but as a government. Let's put it in those terms. So it's incredibly infuriating to me. I don't think they're going to reap sales from this $29.99. And like I said, they were going out of their way to tout the Disney Plus platform by stating that it had reached over its goal. It had overachieved, and it reached 60.5 million subscribers globally. Those are paying subscribers. They actually were very adamant when they said that, because obviously there's been speculation that they were rolling in unpaid subscribers. Now again, they could be rolling in subscribers from their telecom deals that they have with that form of distribution, but those possibly could have an element of financial benefit, therefore they can claim paid. So regardless, what I found really odd is they were really pushing this Star brand thing and saying that they were really going to move forward with that in 2021. Now, of course, none of us have heard of that here in the States, and there was a lot of questions about that from the investors like JP Morgan and places like that. But regardless, I'm at a loss when it comes to the idea that investors want to put more money into a company that's having staggering losses. They also have a huge cash surplus sitting on the sideline, which is a good thing. I think one of the investors called it a sitting on the balance sheet, and it is. It's that stockpile of money that they borrowed to essentially insulate the company from an attempt at any kind of a takeover or buyout or anything else. Also to have operating capital, which at this point in time it seems like they need, because according to Bob Chapek, excuse me, I often call him Cheapskate. I know that's not, well, it might be fair. Well, anyway, he stated there that the park attendance was down 50% of even their expectation. from what they thought that they would get in Florida, and claiming largely that because the pandemic had a little bit of a balloon in Florida, it scared some folks away. And so they are seeing probably the largest local audience to their parks that they've seen in a very, very long time, because let's face it, Disney World relies on an international attendance. In fact, for a long time there, during the good economic years in South America, Brazilians often were the largest group of folks to visit the park in any given year. So it is unique that they're in a position where the locals are making up 50% of their audience. Now, they're also trying to entice people to stay or to come, actually, not just the locals, but people that have passes or are even purchasing tickets to show up in these parks. They're offering a 30% annual pass discount to the folks that have the annual passes. And they also have Florida resident deals going on. So no wonder they're seeing more growth in their local market. But I don't know, that's not a lot of extra money coming in, because if you're a local with a pass or you're an annual pass holder of any kind, you've already paid your theme park admission. Of course, now they're limiting things to just one park a day, which is atrocious, although from what I'm to understand, because of the festival, they're considering the idea of allowing you to park hop to Epcot, which makes sense. It's got the largest amount of land mass area that you could socially distance at. So I could see them allowing that, but not allowing park hopping, which is part of your pass, by the way. It's one of your quote-unquote entitlements, is what we call it at Disney, or what they call it at Disney. That's a problem, because you can literally be done with wherever you're at, let's say the Studios Park, in a matter of 4, 5, 6 hours, and that includes pretty much doing almost everything right now because the attendance has been so low. And if you get a good boarding group with Rise of Skywalker, you can be out of there by lunchtime, which leaves the rest of the day for you to do nothing but hang out in your hotel room, or even go off property to give somebody else money, which I think is a bad idea. One of the advantages of park hopping for Disney was the opportunity to keep the guests in their bubble. They've been calling it that for decades now. But anyway, I digress. I always get off on a tangent when I talk about Disney, because I have so much information and experience there that it is what it is. But consider this: we've heard rumors that they're going to lay people off, and I've heard things to that end as well. And if you're a thoughtful human being, you would expect it, because they are not providing the same level of service to the same number of guests as they have before. Therefore, they have kept venues closed inside the parks and outside the parks. So you can't go to the water parks right now. There are restaurants and dining experiences that are closed in the parks, in all 4 of the parks. There are experiences that aren't available, like dessert parties and things like that. So it is with that in mind that with 100,000 people furloughed by the Disney company currently, you can expect there to be layoffs, I think. There are entire divisions of this company that are not being utilized in any way whatsoever right now. So laying off somebody makes a lot of sense. Anyway, that's it for today. That's all I had. I don't understand as a responsible investor, like a big investment house, or even as an individual, why you would think that yesterday was any kind of good news. Because the expectations are that they are going to continue to lose money, especially while California is still closed. And when I say California, I mean Disneyland, the Disneyland Resort, which is mostly locals. I mean, there are times when that thing's like almost 90% locals, but it fell back reasonably to about 72 or 73%. Anyway, it's very, it's just suspect to me how this stock got bumped. And again, the only thing that can speak to that maybe is the cash that they have on the balance sheet. Regardless, I know this video was long today, and it's just because I had a lot to talk about. Go over and visit the Pirates and Princesses folks, to check out not only their website, which is great, but also the Clownfish TV channel here on YouTube. And give a special shout out to a fellow Disnerd, somebody who absolutely loves the company and is probably almost as invested in it as I am, is Lorena Creole. She makes some fantastic content, and I'll include her link in my description below and probably in the banner that's appearing down here right now. All right, so I guess that's all I have to say on the subject for the moment. So I just want to say thank you for being here. As I always say, I truly appreciate it, because I do. Be sure to support other independent creators, including my friend Lorena Creole down here. And be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, and until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.